Hey everyone, so in this video we're going to take a look at how to make an animated character in microStudio using the built-in toolset. I really won't be covering any animation commands because the way microStudio works is that by default the entire animation sequence will play. So in a later tutorial I'll get into the commands that let you slice up the animation into different sections, like maybe one is an attack animation and one is a jump animation. For now, we're just going to look at, say, an idle animation, like in an RPG kind of situation. So we're going to start by clicking on the Sprite tab. And again, this is really meant to be a tutorial about the built-in tool set. So first we're going to click on Add Sprite. Let's just call this blob or slime or whatever, because that's the type of creature we're going to draw. Again, like old school Dragon Quest. We're going to click on Apply. Let's make this 32 by 32. I want it to be slightly more detailed. Again, click on Apply. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the outline and then go back and fill in, because that way I don't have to keep jumping between the 2 or 3 colors. I can draw all at once. That way you don't have to keep going back to the eyedropper, keep going back between pencil and fill tool. So what we're going to do, we're going to choose a color. We're going to choose black for the outline. We've got the pencil tool. And now I'm just going to draw a basic outline. And again, it's just meant to be like a blob type creature, a slime type creature from a game such as Dragon Quest. You can erase by right clicking if you've got the pencil tool on. And just clicking, some of these doubled up blocks don't look right in a 2D environment. Okay, so now what we're going to do, to add frames, you click on animation down here, and this is the 0 frame, and I want to point out a couple of things. This icon in the upper left allows you to duplicate the frame if you're only going to make a few changes. You could click on this to create a blank frame, and what that does is that lets you trace on top of the previous frame. So if I click on this, I have to start from scratch, but you can see that you can see the frame behind it. So we're not going to take that approach. We're just going to duplicate the frame, but I did want you to know that you can start from scratch and you can trace on top of another image. So let's go ahead and click on this symbol in the upper right, which is an X. And by the way, you can change the order of the frames with the arrows. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this. Going to click on this to make sure we have the right frame. And then what we're going to do, we're going to just start drawing out, making this. And no, this is not meant to be an art tutorial. As I've said before, I am not an artist, so I do not have good drawing habits. This is just getting you familiar with the tool set. So again, right click is erasing if you have the pencil tool selected. And down here, you should notice that it's animated. So it does look like it has this basic kind of pulsating look to it. So it's great to have that real-time feedback to see what it looks like. And then we're going to duplicate this again, clicking on that icon in the upper left. Again, just kind of raise this all up a few frames. See how that looks. Okay, so you're noticing that it's starting to not be as smooth, because what's happening is when it reaches the last frame, it jumps to the first one. So one of the things that you could do is you could just duplicate a frame rather than redrawing it. So let's go out one more frame and then we'll start some duplication. And then we'll go back and fill in. So let's duplicate this frame. And then what we'll do is, again, we'll just kind of draw this out a little bit more. And I'm going a little bit quicker since we've really done this a few times already. So again, some of the key takeaways is the ability to duplicate a frame, to change the order of a frame, which we're about to do, delete a frame, create a new frame from scratch. These are really the kind of things that I'm trying to point out as the key takeaways. Okay, so now you can really see that it's uh, dropping to that first frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to make all the frames complete. So we're going to do the fill, and then we'll duplicate the frames, because if we duplicate the frames first, then we have to do the fill on more frames. So we'll click on this one, and we'll just choose like a blue color. We'll choose the fill, and then we fill. So like I said, this way you don't have to keep changing between the pencil tool and the fill tool, and you don't have to keep changing between blue and black. So now that we've got this, we want this to cycle back. So again, you could probably do this with code, but since I'm just showing you the different tools, what we'll do is we'll duplicate this frame, then we'll use the arrow to move it, and then we want to duplicate, I believe, this frame, and then we want to move it to the end. I believe that's it. I mean, just looking at the sequence, it looks right. And then you don't have to duplicate the last frame, because once it gets to here, or say the first frame, you don't have to duplicate the first frame, because when you're here, it will jump back to here automatically. So now you kind of have like a slime-like enemy. You could have done another color, like maybe you could have done some white here, like as if there's like a reflection. You could have done that. Okay, so that is our enemy. And now what we're going to do, we're going to click on code. And what we need to do is we need to draw this on the screen. So I've already put the code in, I'm just having to make one change. So this, we call this blob. So that's the name you need to use. Now you're going to want to put this into the draw section. So when you create a new project, there's three functions. There's init, which is basically for initialize. It's kind of like the start section of Unity, although there's some differences. The update section, which is done 60 times per second, so that's a fixed interval. And then you have draw. This is based on frame rate, and that is every time the screen is drawn, this will occur. So we want the slime to be drawn. However, it will still, regardless of the frame rate, it will still it will monitor the frame rate of the animated character. So we just need to change this to blob, and then it should work. And let's see, so we've got screen, draw sprite, blob, and let's run. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to clear the screen. So let me just grab that. And there we go. So it's screen.clear with parentheses. So screen.clear does just that. With every time the screen is drawn, it clears it. So that's really kind of old school, the fact that you have to clear the screen with every frame. And then screen.drawSprite. And the arguments are the name of the sprite, and then the horizontal position, the vertical position, and those are the center positions. Okay, so it'll be centered on those positions. So X, Y, and then 50, 50 is the horizontal and vertical scale. So I've seen that type of syntax before. I'm not sure if that was way back when I had like HTML. I know I've seen that somewhere. It's very familiar, where you have to choose the two coordinates and the two sizes. So one of the things that this lets you do is scaling, obviously. So if we did say, now you have a much larger one. So this is a very simple way to do scaling. Okay, so I think that's about it for this tutorial. I hope you found this interesting and useful. And like I said, if there's enough interest, I'll continue to do more microStudio tutorials. I don't foresee doing the kind of coverage that I do with Unity, because there's so much more you can do with Unity. This is definitely more old school, definitely more 2D. Almost exclusive 2D. Like I said, the only exception would be you can do those pseudo 3D games by using scaling effects. So you can do things like Space Harrier or the old racing games where the position is behind the car. So you can do things like that. So I think that's about it. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments section. And if you have any requests, also leave that in the comments. And I hope you found this useful. And please do enjoy the rest of your day.